Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody was able to join okay. I'm going to share the link. Copy pastas via copy pastas in the event tab on LinkedIn again. I know we have a few joining us from YouTube this morning. If you need the link for that, feel free. Good morning, everybody. Wow. Everybody was able to join okay. Nice. Forgot to mute that. In case you were wondering how long the delay is, that's it. Right? I like to be transparent. It's always fun. Let's see. Let's pull this one up. So today we are I have grabbed a cup and circled up with Nathan Sweaney, founder, organizer for B-Sides Oklahoma. Also very cool company working with Secure Ideas, which is predominantly Nathan, penetration testing and employee training. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do general consulting, vulnerability assessments. We spend a lot of effort on training, but we try to keep it affordable so we don't make a lot of money out of it. We're really what we're known for is pen testing.
I like the training piece. Can you talk about some of the things that you guys are asked to train teams on?
Yeah, so we come at it from we've all got experience with some other acronymed training organizations that are really expensive, and so I won't name names, but we like to keep our training opportunities down into like the $1,000 range instead of the $7,000 range. We've got a network pen testing course and a web app pen testing course, and we do a lot of like developer security training. Because developers, nobody at school teaches them how to. They don't teach them anything about security. So we kind of cover that for a lot of organizations. Will does. Obviously, I've learned that Will does a fantastic job. Will is a statistically, I don't know. I don't want to say he's not relevant, but he's an anomaly. How about that?
That's why I hang out with him all the time. Though.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got like a container security course that's really popular, and we've got really smart people, and so we try to provide a lot of education back to the community as part of that.
That's awesome. I really, obviously, right? Will and I have been here for a couple of episodes now. And it's really because I have this, he makes me all warm and fuzzy every time he talks about the IT Center of Excellence over at PIMA Community College. So we have a few people that are new to our stream. So Will, can you touch on that just a little bit, what it is that you guys do over there? Just the quick rundown.
We have an IT Center of Excellence that we have just finished construction on and pulling this together. We also work in tandem with the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range. So we have an area where anyone in the community can come and learn how to hack. And then we have an area that teaches the best practices and skills and to help bring people up from zero. But the whole focus is to how to create an environment where people can actually get hands-on and do it as opposed to just learning theory.
See, I love that. I needed you in my life like forever ago. Thank you very much. No idea. Just so you go poke at stuff because
I'm excited. I want to see about getting a t-shirt that says I'm an anomaly.
I'm a statistical anomaly. That would be great.
There you go. I think it's a great idea. I will purchase one. Just so you know. Definitely. I'd be first in line for that. And for those of you who are not aware of what it is that I do all kinds of things. Okay. First of all, lots of different hats. One of my forefront activities that happen on a daily basis for more than 10 hours a day is I work with a company called SecureNation, which is a cybersecurity broker / VAR SAN services. So hence the human API, right? I connect people to people and people to products and solutions and all those kinds of things. So I know lots of things. I know lots of people, and I'm only as cool as the people I know. Okay. It's not me. It's all of them. All right.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. So through that, I get to hang out with awesome guys like Will, and then also get to meet and hang out with awesome guys like Nathan, who we met in Tulsa for one of my last excursions out, right? Pre-COVID. We got to tour that dam tour. We got to tour the dam at Grand River Dam Authority in Tulsa, controlled 3. They're over 3 of the dams. Is that right? There's 4, but there's 3 of them.
They rattled off so many statistics. I lost count.
It was January, I think. And
last January.
We walked out on top of the dam, and the wind coming off of the lake.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I was not prepared, you guys.
Yeah. What amazed me, like that was built in what, like the 40s or 30s or somewhere in there. I mean, like it was old, and I mean, it's still in continuous operation. Like they don't make stuff like that anymore.
No, they do not. And something else that was really interesting that I didn't think of until we got the tour, because we toured all the way down to like the base inside of this thing. It was really, really cool. Oh my God, you guys, look, John Montgomery and somebody else, entities. I hate you guys. So I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, the dam tour was really cool. So something I didn't realize is that to start up generators that are that large, you have to have a smaller motor to start the bigger motors. And I didn't think about that, right? But it's like duh. Whenever like when Pedro and his awesome tour guide showed that to us, Pedro Serrano is the CISO for Grand River Dam Authority, and I really enjoy spending time with him. He's lots of fun. I wrote an article along probably midsummer, I guess now, something about the CISO side, a certifiable journey between him and my pal John Kemet. They've got the right certs for what they do. Yeah. Right? If you ever have questions about what certifications you should go for, or which ones seem appropriate, or any kind of just, I don't know, you wanted to know which ones you thought were most valuable. They're great. They are great to ask. They're really good guys. Anyhow, so entities, you jerks. Look, John Montgomery's laughing. He's lol. So if you don't know Chris Roberts, you should go do that and start following him. And Evan Franson and Ryan Cloutier have a Thursday night, late night stream podcast called The Security Shit Show. Go check that out. Nice. For me and the husband, it's like date night. Because we're real cool, you guys.
Well, they went later though.
They usually go later. Yeah, last night I think Chris had a lot of stuff to catch up on, and he ended up.
Well, maybe it's just because I'm in Arizona and I don't change time. But
yeah, they hold hackers hours, right? So it's like it starts for me local time, it's 10 p.m. So it's like it's seriously daily. Like, but it actually works out really well because we have 3 little bitty kids and they are all definitely asleep by 10. Right. So we can participate in the shenanigans that the guys go through. And last night's topic was all about compliance and governance and everything. But they kicked off the show eating this super, I don't know, pack hot pepper chip, like ghost pepper chip. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
those are crazy.
Yeah. So we got to watch Evan and Chris live eat this chip. I was impressed. Evan, like, he held on to it, man. He just like dabbed a little bit of sweat off of his head. Chris was definitely annoyed. I think he says it a couple of times in the beginning. But you guys got to go check that out. It was a lot of fun. And for some reason, Evan, halfway through, I mean, probably the first 20 or 30 minutes in, he started saying entities. And he was like, it's a fun word, entities. And then just as Ryan is rambling through the podcast, he just, entities. Yeah. And it became a whole like side discussion. It was just stupid fun.
Right. Yeah, Patrick asked about my Mac. Yeah, that was a former place I used to work. I used to work at a university, and they had an attic full of old stuff. I mean, this was 20 years ago, so that was a souvenir that I always wanted. I was going to make a fish tank out of it. My thought was to hollow it all out. And I've actually got another one that I hollowed out completely and started the process. But then I got and I was going to put like LEDs in it, and so and connect it with like a Raspberry Pi or something, so that when I get an email, it flashes green, or
I love this.
I thought it would make a really cool, like an intrusion detection system, right? Like when somebody's hammering my website, it flashes red, behind the fish.
I like it. I like it.
I'm changing my idea a little bit. I want to find like a 9-inch square screen if I can, which is so far proven difficult. But I want to put like an LED screen in it, or LCD or whatever, that I can drive a Raspberry Pi. And I think it would be fun just to have a, I don't know, do whatever you would do with a computer on it, but have it, have a modern computer.
You'd probably have with a fairly neurotic fish too.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, like animal aficionados listening in, like, is this going to cause epileptic seizure in goldfish? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Look, be careful, Nathan. PETA's going to be all over our ass.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I'd love to find a keyboard for it. I didn't get a keyboard with it at the time, and I've looked, and now they're like $100.
Hang on. Let me write that down.
Yeah, my birthday is tomorrow. If you haven't bought me anything yet.
Oh, it's your birthday tomorrow?
Yeah, the big 4-0.
What?
I know.
Wait.
You made it.
I did. Yeah, it's all downhill from here, right?
Let's hope not, because I feel like there's a gravitational force that will pull on all downhill from here, and you'll roll at the end to stop yourself. So mess.
A friend of mine commented that she was turning 42, and she said something about middle age. I was like, I hate to tell you, but the life expectancy for women in the U.S. is like 76. So you hit middle age you hit the crest of middle age like 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, I was told that middle age is that time when everyone you meet reminds you of someone else.
There you go. Yeah.
My parents are of the age now that they are like super alerted to one another's behaviors. If it seems even slightly, Alzheimer's, onset of dementia, anything like that.
Right.
And I keep telling them, stop worrying about it. It's going to be great if it happens, because you just meet new people all the time. Every day, everyone you meet that's a new person. It'll be great. So yeah. And my dad loves to meet new people. So
what about in like the B-sides here in the range, we have the full gamut of folks. And you're doing a lot with the B-sides in Tulsa, right?
Yep. Yeah, we started. This last year was our 6th year. So there was a group of about 5 of us that started it 6 years ago, and we thought, hey, this might be fun. We'll get 100 people or whatever and do a thing. And it's just, it's gone crazy. Last year we had 550. Well, I say last year, 2019, we had like 550, and this year, because we went virtual, we had around 900 people register, which is,
so
awesome.
For a B-side, yeah, like we're one of the bigger ones, which is crazy to think about, but maybe there's not a lot of other things to do in Tulsa.
I've been to Tulsa. That might be true.
Yeah, we pull a lot of people from surrounding states. I think last year, like the last in-person one we had like 30 different states represented in person, like people coming from other places. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's impressive. That's very cool. So whenever you started the whole B-sides thing, can you talk about some of like, did you just wake up one day and you were like, that's it?
So honestly, we got a couple of guys. It wasn't my idea initially. We had 2 guys that did. And I don't want to put them out there because they're not big on social media and whatnot, but
that's fine.
They said, hey, we think we should do this thing. And I'm like, that's a great idea. Like, we're talking about it in December. I'm like, we could totally do that. Like, we can do all this stuff. Like, let's shoot for August. And he's like, no, I'm thinking like March. And I said, there's no freaking way. And we talked about it. And he's like, yeah, you're right. We can't do it that soon. And then like 2 weeks later, 1st of January, he sends out an email and says, okay, I got a place. I've got a sponsor. We're going to do this in March. And it's like, okay, here we go. And we did. And that first year we had like 250 people, and it was awesome. And it's just gone from there. And we've got a core group of 7 organizers that are amazing. And, we work together well, and it's just a great con. So it's something I'm really proud of, that somehow it works well every year. So
so you do it once a year? Is that?
Yeah. We normally, I think April 9th, 2021 is what, if 2020 ever ends, I guess that's the question. But we're scheduled for April 9th as of right now. Next year, we're still trying to figure out the whole virtual live. What are we going to do? We're not sure. But yeah, it's once a year. We usually have about 3 tracks of talks. So, between 20 to 25, really good speakers. And yeah, it's a good time. When we're in person, we had all the normal B-sides type events, lock picking and capture the flag and all this kind of stuff. Virtual is a little more challenging. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel. Oh, Rachel says she'll be back. I'll just keep talking. We this year when we went virtual, we did some kind of unique things. We bought everybody lunch, so the con was completely free. That's kind of one of the things we've held to and tried to maintain that. But we sent everybody a $15 Uber Eats gift card, so they could order lunch since we couldn't provide free food in person. And then what was the other? Oh, we sent swag boxes. So we were one of the first cons to do that, of like actually mailing out. I know there's a few others that have, but we sent out swag boxes with T-shirts and lots of cool stuff.
And how do you support that? How do you?
We just have, so the great thing about Oklahoma is there's not a lot of other big conferences going on, and there's some pretty big companies with banking and insurance and oil and gas and whatnot. And so a lot of vendors want to get in here. And so we keep our sponsorship fees fairly reasonable. It's a lot cheaper than some of the other bigger ones. And so folks come in here, they throw us a lot of money, and
awesome.
Yeah, it's really, we don't, the organizers, we don't make any money or anything. We just 100% of it goes back to the con. And so yeah, we're able to give away a lot of free stuff on the backs of vendors. So we always appreciate that. Yeah. So we'll see how this continues with the virtual world and in the Corona world. But for now, things have gone well.
And then what kind of relationships have developed from that? I mean, I assume you've been making connections all over the place.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that I really enjoy seeing is just more community within the InfoSec community. The ISSA chapter in Oklahoma City and the ISSA chapter in Tulsa, we're kind of small and struggling and doing their things. And you've got other chapters like ISACA and IIA and all this. I feel like over the last 6 years, and I can't completely credit B-sides for this, but it's part of that, like building a community. I feel like there's been a lot more interactions, and now a lot of those chapters are flourishing, and we've got a lot more growth. Obviously the vendors like it, the salespeople, because, they can start to have bigger events and get more people involved. And, I know Rachel came up and SecureNation sponsored an ISSA meeting one time. And yeah, it's been good. It's been really neat. Oklahoma's a lot more spread out than, some of the cities. And so we can't bring, 200 people all from a, 10-mile radius. It's like, hey, some of these people are driving 4 or 5 hours to get here. But it's been neat to see the community grow a lot in the area.
Very cool. Have you seen any strong information sharing start to develop out of that? I mean, stuff that moves the needle?
That's so hard to say. I mean, yeah, I would love to say yes, absolutely. Lots of that. I know. I mean, there's obviously the networking that comes along with those types of activities, and as people meet each other at ISSA events or at B-sides and they get together. One of the things that I was really excited about, we were going to do last year's B-sides, was we actually got several reps from the state of Oklahoma, like the CIO and CTO and like really high level, like one of the advisors to the governor. I mean, I don't remember who. We had about 5 different people that were going to be we were going to do a live tabletop exercise on stage with all of these high level folks from the state and be like, here's a security incident. How do you respond? Let's walk through this. And obviously that was in April. And so they had other things to deal with at the time with quarantine and all that. So that didn't happen. But yeah. It's been neat. Yeah, there's definitely been some moving the needle a little bit on just the overall community and recognition of security stuff, why it matters and where we go.
Ooh, a tabletop on stage.
You're right. I was thinking
Yeah,
right?
we were in the planning stage, and I was struggling with like, how far are they going to let me go? And several of them are like, throw the sink at us, like, let's see what happens. And
I like
you
it.
know, yeah, I mean, it's cool. You don't want to embarrass a
No.
politician, but finding that line.
Yeah.
So.
But it's also, I don't know, I think it's beneficial too for people that are, coming into security or newer to security, to see even leadership walk through those processes, and that the mental game plan that happens, and just, to see that just when you feel like you're stuck, don't worry, they get stuck too.
Yep.
Like, it happens to everybody. Okay.
Yep.
Level the playing field a little bit. Like, nobody, no, if somebody claims to be just perfect all the time, they're definitely full of crap.
Right.
Not even a little bit. It's very much so a collaborative effort whenever you're responding to those kinds of threats. I mean, on a tabletop, obviously too, but
sure,
in real life, I've seen, maybe from the sides sometimes. I may or may not have witnessed real incidents happen and my husband and his team respond. So that's like, I don't think I can go that far into it, but it's very collaborative back and forth. And, I have quite a few friendships in security as well that I've kind of watched them from the sidelines, and definitely been like eating popcorn onto the side. Like,
right.
What are you guys doing?
It's great when you're not the one on the hook.
Yeah. Very entertaining. It looks real stressful over there. I'm good right here, guys.
Yeah.
I am a supporting role character. Okay.
Right.
That's it. Definitely. So you did a talk recently too that I was all excited about. I wrote like a huge, I don't know, whatever. I went down a rabbit hole and wrote an article. I was like, I'm going to talk about what Nathan talked about. And then it was like, vroom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's such a big topic. There's so many different components. And that was kind of my goal, is to start that conversation. For if you guys haven't watched it, I think you've got a link you can share. The point of it, where it came from, was I was looking at all of the technology advances that have happened in the last few years. And I mean, we're talking about, self-driving cars and all the cameras on cars. And honestly, I was looking at like I've got a Ring doorbell, and the feed goes through Ring, and actually we've got some Wise cameras as well, and the feeds for those go through Wise. It makes a great baby monitor kind of thing. But I got to thinking about like, who owns that video feed, and I saw a news article where there was a wreck involving I think it was a Tesla, and the police went to the impound to get the data from the car, and it wasn't there. And they contacted Tesla and said, hey, we need help getting the data from this car. And Tesla said, oh, it's not on the car. We already pulled it back. And it brought up this question of like, well, wait a minute. Do they own that data? What right do they have to pull that back? And then who does own that data? I clicked the OK button whenever the Ring terms of service asked me to sign up my doorbell, but I never thought about who owns that data. And so like earlier, Rachel, you were talking about hiring people and whatnot. Like, imagine if a marketing company purchased the rights to my video feed. I mean, sure, they would know when I come and go and whatnot, but they know when my neighbors come and go now, right? Mm-hmm. And so even if I say, I don't want that on my house, I don't want that doorbell, well, what if all my neighbors do it? Or like a Tesla, the example I give in the video is, imagine in 5 years when every car has 12 cameras around it, and LiDAR and radar and sonar and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all this. That's a lot of data that somebody is going to have access to. And as of right now, it's not really clear who owns it or who has access to it or what. So when we get to looking at the point where all of this data is being captured about everybody, and if you have the video feeds to all of these cars, exactly who goes where, when, with who, for how long, which companies are doing business with which other companies, which ones are stopping doing business, who's getting ready to be merged with who. It's scary. I mean, and it's not, I don't want to do the tinfoil hat thing, but it's like Wi-Fi logs. I another example, I don't remember if I put this in the talk or not, but we've got a customer that has a large chain of gas stations. And to be clear, it's not Quick Trip. I'm in Tulsa. Everybody's like, oh, it's Quick Trip. No, it's not Quick Trip. But they put in Bluetooth monitoring for marketing, so they could correlate users to, you know, people that bought certain stuff to their app and say, okay, when we market this in the app, people buy this, and they could see that. Well, then they had somebody put credit card skimmers on a lot of their pumps. And so they were able to go back and look at the logs and say every store where a credit card skimmer was put in, this Bluetooth MAC address was at every site during that time frame. So then they were able to monitor for that live. And the next time they saw that MAC address show up, they were able to call the cops, and they actually caught the guy that was putting the credit card skimmers purely by capturing those Bluetooth logs. The guy didn't connect to anything. Right. His Bluetooth was just broadcasting. And so imagine Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, whatever. I've been told, and I can't verify this, but I've been told that there are companies that buy those logs from hotel chains and restaurants and gas stations and airports and whatever. If that's true, these marketing companies, they literally know exactly who's going where, when. If you drive by a restaurant that has Wi-Fi and logs, that's going to keep track of you. So the next 5 years are interesting, 10 years. It's going to be really curious to see how that plays out.
Well, that and if you've played with a pineapple, right, you pick up the probes, and then you can feed that right in through the API through Wiggle.
Yeah, and see where it's at.
You know where they've been, and you can pretty quickly get a pretty good idea of where they live for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting nuts. And then when you throw voice onto all these things, doing that as well. And John brought up in the chat, EULA. Well, the EULA, everybody sign it. To be able to use any product, you have to sign everything over, right?
Right.
Well, that's a problem that's escalating and needs to be watched exactly. But then what about, I think you bring up a fantastic point. What about everybody else? Right?
If my neighbor goes to buy a car and there's a marketing company that says, I will give you $5,000 off this car if you sign over the feeds to this data, every one of my neighbors is going to sign up to do it. Heck, I'll probably do it, honestly. You know what I mean? It's like, if everybody else is doing it, why wouldn't I do it? And so, yeah, when we look at stuff like this, we normally say, well, we'll have regulation and the government will share, cover this and whatnot. The government's not going to keep up with this. We're still talking about privacy concerns from 20 years ago. And we've got a few states that are piecemealing privacy stuff together. But it's scary. There's tech that's happening. And in the talk, I talk a little bit more about other parts of this, right? Like collecting all this data requires different things. It requires storage capabilities, which we're getting there, right? The ability to store just a ridiculous amount of data as possible. Transmission capabilities. When we talk about 5G, I think Brad mentioned there in the comments, 5G is going to make transmission a little bit easier. Starlink, I think right now they have 900 satellites. In the last year and a half, they've launched 900 satellites. Their goal is to have up to 30,000 so they can offer high-speed internet anywhere in the world. And then when we talk about processing with machine learning and quantum and stuff like that, the ability to process that much data is going to be crazy. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's getting nuts. And the whole, what has been in the legal realm, the whole concept of your right, the rights of your fist stop where my face begins, right? is getting to where that is much more blurry and hard to define and hard to nail down.
And down my rabbit hole last week, that's kind of what happened, right? Was I started going back and looking at, Nathan posed the question, who owns this data? And I was like, well, wouldn't it be nice if we owned it?
Oh, yeah. I've thought about this myself. Like, I need a little VC money and all these ideas I've gotten. Like, I could be a billionaire in 5 years if I capitalize on this.
Exactly. your own behavioral analytics that are being collected, right? Yeah. That'd be super fun. But I started going through some of the privacy policies because that's my thing. I'm a nerd, you guys. Okay, I dig into that so hard. Started going through these privacy policies on a couple of different platforms. I am on every platform. I try to be as accessible as possible, right? It's part of what I have to do every day. So obviously I go through my own privacy policies before I sign up on these things. So I have an understanding about what it is that I'm sharing and kind of who I'm sharing it with. So you go back through them, you find out which companies they're partnered with, and that third party kind of middleman, and the third party partnerships. Okay, so social media is going to scrape all your data, all of your behavioral analytics, right? They know how long you looked at your friend's picture, which things that you happen to engage with through something like a like button or whatever, right? Commented, whatever that is. Sometimes they pull out keywords depending on what the marketers may be looking for at that time. They scrape all that data. They don't do anything with it other than just harvest it. And then they sell that to the third party company, who then takes all of that and builds a platform that spreads it out like a buffet table of choices for then the marketers to plug into.
Yeah.
Okay. And then some of the things that happen there is so the marketers can utilize that third party, that middleman platform that they've subscribed to or bought licenses for, to monitor how their marketing campaigns are affecting you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we've got I know of a customer, let me say that they purchase, they have contracts with travel companies. And so they purchase data effectively from rental cars and airlines and hotel chains. And then they do that, they build these profiles, and then they sell it back to others. So for example, I have status with United and Marriott, at least I did last year. After this year, who knows? But you know what I mean? Like if I go stay in a Hilton, I may not have status with Hilton, but it's worthwhile for them to treat me better and to market to me because I travel a lot. And so that's what this company does. This middleman company feeds that info back to other folks so that they can better market to travelers and whatnot. Yeah. I think Richard posted an interesting question that I think kind of is the crux of this whole thing. He said there is knowing you pass by a store a privacy issue because I can stand outside and watch you. And he's absolutely right. And that's the problem, is when you break this down into pieces, you're like, well, that's not really a big deal. What we're talking about is technology is allowing a aggregation of this data in a way that's never been possible before. So it's not me looking out my window and seeing you pass by. It's me having access to every window and knowing everywhere you passed by, when you did it, how often you do it, with who, and being able to keep a constant access on that. It's sort of like with in most organizations have a data classification, right? So we have public data and we have internal data and we have restricted data and classified and whatever we call it. There's a concept of data aggregation bumping up to a higher level of classification, right? So this data about one individual may not be a big deal. This data about 1 million individuals, now this becomes restricted. And so that's what we're talking about, is just technology has increased our ability to access and manipulate and process a crazy amount of data almost in real time.
Yeah, it is. And to that point, I don't know, maybe it's my personal perspective based on whatever identifier I want to use. But excuse me, if somebody was standing outside and watching me, I would have the opportunity to identify who that person is and call the authorities and report them.
I don't know if you would. I mean, I could put a small battery operated camera on the under lip of your trash can and monitor for you forever, and you would never see that.
No, but that's what I'm saying, is physically a person.
Physically, if somebody's standing there,
I could see them, identify them, and call the authorities and report some sort of behavior, make a report, right? They may not be doing anything that's, arrest worthy, but
we have peeping Tom laws.
So that's the problem, is there are so many virtual bodies watching you that you can't discern which one is freaking you out, man.
No. And the thing is, like, I want to take off the tinfoil hat for just a second, because it's not all bad. And I talk about this.
No, it's not.
I talk a little bit. This is going to offer amazing technology. Like I use Google Pay for everything when I can, and it is the most secure way to pay. And I can talk about that another time. But if you have the opportunity to use Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever, but I can walk into a gas station. I grab a drink. I walk up. They scan it. I hold my phone up. I walk out. I don't have to touch people. They don't touch my stuff, which is great right now in COVID times. But like the ability in the future, if there's a network monitoring all this, they're already going to know who I am. They're going to know where I came from, my car. Like there's going to be so many ways to identify me. There's no reason that I have to hold my phone up to a little device and like I walk in, I grab my thing, I walk out. That's going to be really convenient and really cool. And, the ability to get targeted marketing that actually, I love when I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see ads for something that I didn't know I want that, but that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. And that's why that's why I go through my privacy policies and I am on every platform that I possibly can be, is because there are some aspects of it that I actually value. I like being made aware of something on Etsy that I didn't know was there before, based on whatever I liked or talked about my friends with on a public platform.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. That's cool that I can be connected to those little mom and pop shops like that. I love it. And the AI knows I love it too. So
right.
Flashes it up there,
The only part would be if it gets to Google Vote.
Yeah. Oh, well, and I don't know. That's another topic we could talk for. I'm real big into some of the modern or the alternative options for voting and technical solutions there. I think that would be great. But John commented on a Faraday cage, and that's another concept of a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to go off the grid. Like I'll just buy a place out in nowhere and go off the grid. And I mean, well, that's kind of an option, except for you still have to buy stuff. That's still going to be correlated to an address and to a user. Like everything you buy is going to be tracked. You're going to have neighbors somewhere down the road. If you're the only house in a 50-mile range, that house has to be connected to a road somewhere, right? I really think I'm going blank. I'm sorry. Jim Bridenstine is a friend of mine. He lives here in Tulsa, actually just a couple miles away from me. He's the administrator of NASA, and I bumped into him at the airport. I don't know, about a year ago, I guess now. And we were talking about drone technology and NASA. Everybody thinks NASA in space, but it's the National Aeronautics. And so they are also responsible for the administration and the discussions about regulations of drone traffic and that sort of stuff. And so he's like, today you jump on a road and you're just used to, there's all these rules of the roads and there's signs and everybody knows what to do. That they're in the process of developing that technology for drones as well, so that there will be certain shipping lanes and, here's where you fly and here's how the signals that when to turn left or when to turn right and that sort of thing. And he was saying there are dozens of companies with millions of drones ready to take to the sky as soon as we sign off on this, as soon as we have everything approved. And I think it's going to be a very short term. I think within 5 to 10 years, anywhere you look, you're going to see drones in the sky monitoring traffic, monitoring for crime, monitoring, neighborhood patterns for marketing. And I think that's just going to be a commonplace thing. And so I don't know, the idea of a Faraday cage of going off the grid, I don't think that's really practical. You're not going to be able to do that.
No, it's not. Absolutely not. Guys, we have had so much fun. We're about to hit 10 minutes. We've lost some people, by the way. They're trickling out. They're like, this is really cool. I said I have to go.
Yeah.
So that's just what happens, right? You gather some friends up around a coffee table and bam, you guys are sitting there and it's 3 hours later. And the barista at Starbucks is like, all right, you guys you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So that's where we are. Okay.
I like it.
You don't have to go home, but we can't stay here.
It's closing time.
We're going to have to do this again sometime, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone participating in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. I know we've brought up some super interesting topics. Nathan's got, the link to the talk is in the chat, and I'll reshare some of these things as well as some of the things that will connect you back to Will McCullen as well. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
But next week is Turkey Day, so everybody appropriately handle your business. And we are not going to be here. So
I like to think of it as pumpkin pie day, personally.
Is it?
So. Apple. I go for the apple, man.
You go for the apple pie? I'll have to remember that.
Something.
I make a
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
I'll be there on the couch.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nap time.
Nap
It's
time,
nap
absolutely.
So we will not be having a live stream next week, gobble gobble, but we will resume the week after. So be on the lookout for that. Definitely check out the SecureNation events tab and follow there. You'll get notified whenever stuff happens. And if you have accepted to attend this event, you will also should be notified whenever the recording goes live. Also, lots of options. I think today we decided to throw Twitch in there too. So if you guys like Twitch, go to Twitch, follow that, whatever. I'm everywhere. I don't care. They can scrape all my data. I would eventually like to see a penny back though. That'd be nice.
Hey,
So,
thanks Rachel, for doing this. I mean, awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks you guys so much for coming and making me cool.
Pleasure meeting you, Nathan.
Yeah, you as well. Absolutely. We'll have to do it again sometime.
We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Happy Thanksgiving.